Hello, my name is Chilkuri Sushil and I have been a journalist since 1988. And having been in the profession all these years, more than 3 decades, I have covered various spheres or subjects, as you might want to put, like politics. I covered a lot of defense, I've covered science, covered tragedies, natural tragedies, social issues. So it's like almost the entire canvas is covered. Now the question here is, there is a proliferation of information now today. Earlier there were only newspapers, then television came, but you have sources from which you can get information right now from across the world. The question now is, you're being bombarded with information, so much so that you probably do not know what to read, when to read, and where to read, and whom to trust. Now a very conscious decision will have to be taken about, firstly, what is it that is relevant to your life that you would like to know more about. Not everything that happens in the world really should matter to you, because we hardly have time nowadays. You have your education, you have your life, you have other activities. So firstly, decide on what is it that is most important for you to delve into, to know more about. Yeah, the cursory thing is that you look at the headlines, all right? You look at news that might appeal to you and go into it a bit. Look at a bit of sports or business or other activities or news that is covered, mainly political, because you will definitely have to be politically aware of what's happening around you, both within the country, the state, and the world. Having said that, this canvas you will definitely have. But what more do you read? And from where do you read this? Everything is now on your fingertips. You can get that information from your mobile. But tapping into the right sources is more important than anything else. The thing that is bothering us today is information is being projected as news, and this is false news. People refer to it as fake news, but how do you differentiate it? Because even before it appears in the media, or even before it makes it to credible media, you have this information on your social media, any type of social media, and one tends really to believe whatever that comes into your phone, for that matter, into any social media account. With a little bit of understanding, making some kind of homework, first you should decide on which media you can trust, which media house. I'm not saying that you will have 100% credible news at any given point of time, because this is an era of breaking news. The first information that comes is what is given to you. This information might change over a period of time. So make sure you choose that particular media or that site or that source, so that you can follow it and get the right kind of news over a period of time. And then another thing that is very important is you choose which area you would like to get into deeper, because skimming the surface will do you no good. It's like getting to know everything, and everyone will have something to say about everything. But go deeper, and that means following specialized magazines or newspapers or professional magazines. See, this is where the actual news comes out. What comes out in the media, general media, is that an interpretation of what has already been published in very credible magazines and newspapers. You decide which of these magazines you would like to read. For example, you have Nature magazine, isn't it? In Nature magazine, getting a very professional article published is not an easy thing, but there is credibility there. And that is where you get to debunk the myths that are propagated knowingly or unknowingly. But I should touch upon here the information that is so viral when it comes to political news. Political news is important because it's a question of who's ruling the country, what the intentions of the government are. But there are also sources which you cannot identify, which peddle news for two reasons, and one should be very, very careful about this. And when I'm saying careful, let me put it straight. Before forwarding any message, you make sure that the information that you get is right. So for two reasons, false information is spread. One is to gain politically, one is to create problems in the society. A problem for your neighbor is a problem for you. A problem for another community will be a problem for your community. A problem for one religion will be a problem for another religion. A problem for anyone is a problem for the country, and a problem for any country is a problem for humanity. As a responsible citizen, your responsibility is to see that only information that is verified and you know for sure spreads. So what do you do with this information? You take this information, it comes to you, you consume it. But there's a bigger responsibility for you if you intend to do something with this news that you consume. I very often recommend that people go on Twitter. Facebook has an identity, your Instagram may have an identity, on all other social media platforms have an identity. But most of the conversation now in the world is taking place on Twitter. My personal suggestion would be this information has come to me, how do I react? Because your reaction matters more, as people's reaction, which does not matter, is more seen on the internet, right? You like a particular piece of news, you say you like it. You say you don't like it because if you think it is not credible, you say it there. And more than anything, values, principles, you stamp them there, saying that this is right because of these reasons, this is wrong because of these reasons. Now in the world, there are gray areas. You are asked not to identify what is good, not to call something bad as bad. So this is where we have a role to play, saying that this is right, this is wrong. Yes, in a different situation, in a different condition, the situation might change, your opinion might differ. That's another matter. But then and there, when your voice is heard, when you are able to express your emotions, and you should rightly, that is when people take more courage, join you and say, this is right, this is wrong, and this is how the world should be.